the Workforce Connections podcast, where we discuss workforce development in Southern Nevada. Here's your host.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the WC podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, my friend and colleague, Tami Hance-Lehr, Chief Executive Officer of Communities and Schools of Nevada. Welcome, Tami.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Jaime.
Yeah, it's our pleasure. So to get us started, we like our viewers, our audience, to get to learn a little bit about you. So please tell us where you were born, where you grew up, went to school, college, perhaps take us to your first job after college.
All right. That's always a fun story to be able to tell. So I was born in Ogden, Utah, and was raised there for many, many years. And then in 1984, my dad had an opportunity to move us to Las Vegas, Nevada. He's a diesel mechanic. And so he got a job here. And we packed ourselves up and moved here. And that was my sophomore year of high school. So you can imagine that was a little bit of a change in my world to move from, there's a little bit of a culture difference in the state of Utah and the state of Nevada, right?
Absolutely.
So I moved here my sophomore year of high school. I went to Clark High School, go Chargers, excited to graduate in the class of 1987. It was a little difficult in the beginning, I will say, just the adjustment of moving here at that age and, having to make new friends and all of those things. But
Had Jimmy Kimmel already rolled through the school?
Yeah, he graduated 2 years before I did.
Okay.
So I think we crossed paths like my last year, but I didn't actually know him.
Okay.
I wish I did, but I didn't. A lot of famous people come from Clark High School, right?
Yeah.
A lot of great Nevadans. And so listen, it wasn't an easy time, but my mom very much said that, we had to make the best of it, and life doesn't always give you, all the great things you want, but we need to make the best of it. So I ended up getting a job. My first job was I scooped ice cream at the Baskin-Robbins on Jones and Desert Inn, which still is there to this day. And I eventually became the assistant manager. Great job, really learned a lot about running a business and customer service. I had really great bosses that instilled in me. And then I went to UNLV. My parents were like, there's a university 20 minutes away. That's where you're going. And I enrolled there and really started to really love Nevada and love Las Vegas. The incredible energy that is in this city. And think about all the changes that were happening during that time, right?
Yeah.
Like I enrolled in university in 1987. I graduated in 1992.
National champions. Right?
I was there for the national champions. I was at the Thomas and Mack watching all of those games with Tark the Shark and all of that. So some really exciting times. So I became a true Nevadan, right? And I say this often. I say I consider myself Nevada raised.
That's
and
great.
This town has been so good to me. So my first job right out of college, I joined an event company, and I did that by quite accident. So I helped put myself through school. I had some dollars from some of my relatives, but for the most part, I worked all the way through school, and I was always looking for some extra dollars. And so I had a lady reach out to us one year and said that they were doing a party during the Consumer Electronics Show at the Mirage Hotel that had just opened. And they needed about 20 people to come work a carnival party. And so I said, well, I can probably get 20 people together. I was in a sorority, and so I found some of my sorority sisters, and we brought some of our fraternity brother friends, and we carpooled down to the Las Vegas Strip, and we walked into the Mirage, and we worked a carnival party. And we were thrilled because, not only did they write us a check for $25, they fed us, and we were like, we'll work for you anytime. And I just started doing part-time odd jobs for this event company. And that I ended up graduating from UNLV, and I went back to work for the event company the next day, and I ended up being employee number 3.
Wow.
And so that company, it was and still is Destinations by Design. And so I was employee number 3, and I helped build along with Joyce Sherman and Jim Nelson, who were the owners at the time. I helped build that company for 26 years.
Wow.
So I stayed there and never left.
Wow.
So definitely saw a lot of changes with producing casino events, producing major conventions in town, high-end social things. I mean, I really am fortunate that I was able to work on some really incredible things. The inaugural flight for Virgin Atlantic Airlines when it first came to Nevada. We closed off Fremont Street for other parties. I mean, there were just so many really incredible things that that we got to work on in partnership with our awesome hospitality partners.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that leads me to my second question, because I'm going to ask you to kind of fill in the gap between that time, which is going to be quick because that was 26 years in Destinations by Design. And so fill in the gap to now to being, the head of CIS, which also throws fabulous events. Now I know why. But kind of take us there now. What happened when from that moment that you left Destinations by Design to where you are now? What were those professional milestones?
Yeah, it was a hard pivot. It was a hard pivot, but it was a strategic one. And I'll tell you why. So first of all, I loved being at Destinations by Design and DBD for, those people who've been around for what an incredible time to watch the city grow and watch events grow, and helped build an organization from 3 employees to well over 100 employees with an incredible creative spirit. Yeah. I'm not the most creative person, so I'm not the one that you actually want to hire for your kid's birthday party or for your next major event. But that really helped me understand how to run a business, right? And that's really what was my love, is being able to produce things in a very, very quick period of time. Like in the event business, you don't say no, and you work a lot of nights, holidays, and weekends. I mean, Jaime, you have a hospitality background. You certainly get it as well. And so as I continued my leadership in the organization, and I basically grew up, right, at Destinations by Design, and I pretty much held every position you can possibly hold within the company, I started really wanting to get to know my actual community. Because I knew everybody on the Strip, right? I knew all the hoteliers. I was, there 80 hours a week many times. I left my house before the sun came up, and I didn't come home until the sun set. So I didn't really know my community. And so I joined an organization called Nevada Women's Philanthropy. It's an all-female grant-pooled organization that has given grants over the last 20 years to many of our nonprofit friends. And so I joined that organization so I could learn more about our community. I wanted to do more. And that organization really changed the trajectory of my life. I really thought I was going to stay at Destinations by Design forever. I mean, 26 years. I was going to put my name on the shingle and continue owning the company. And that's what I wanted to do. But there was something special about the philanthropic world. And I was so enthralled by so many incredible leaders with Help Us Southern Nevada and 3 Square and just so many great organizations. And I thought, look at the change that they are making in their world. And I loved the event business, but I didn't go to school to be an event planner. I just kind of fell into it. And it was such an really exciting time to be. But nights, holidays, and weekends also gets a little old sometimes, right? Yeah. After 26 years. And, I didn't see my family as often as I wanted to. And I could really see myself in these leaders. So in 2016, I left Destinations by Design. I was a minority shareholder, so it was a little bit of a shock to the system for a lot of people. But in 2017, I left. I took a few months off, and during those few months, I volunteered. So I volunteered at different nonprofits because I knew I was going to go into nonprofit, but I didn't know where, and I didn't know in what role. But I knew that's what I wanted. I wanted a more purposeful life. So I volunteered. Right, I was a wish granter at Make-A-Wish because, that seemed like natural, right? Because that's events. I volunteered at a lot of different organizations just to kind of get an understanding of what I wanted to do. And then in September of 2017, a board member from Communities and Schools called me, and I was familiar with the organization because of Nevada Women's Philanthropy. They were a former grantee, and they called me and said, we have a director of development position available. Would you be interested? And, this particular board member, you don't say no to a lot. So I interviewed and was interviewing for a couple other ones, but that's really where I felt like I could make an incredible difference. And I just believe in the work so much. So in 2017, I joined Communities and Schools as the director of development, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. That's awesome. Now, for those members of the audience who don't know much about communities in schools, can you kind of explain the organization's mission and how it helps students?
I can. So here in Nevada, 70% of our public school kids qualify for free and reduced lunch, which means they live at or below the poverty line. And so many of our kiddos don't show up at school ready to learn. And that is why Communities in Schools exists. So nationally, we've been across the country for almost 50 years. You'll find our work in about 26 different states and over 3,000 schools. Here in Nevada, we just are celebrating our 20th anniversary. We're in our 20th anniversary right now, and we're the largest evidence-based dropout prevention, or as I like to say, stay in school organization in the country. And so the model is that we place a full-time Communities in Schools team member inside our high need or Title I schools. And not just high school, because I promise you, our kiddos that are dropping out of school and making the very tough decision to leave a school campus, it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they maybe don't want to be in school. It's because things have gotten hard and there's other barriers that are in the way that they may need to do that. But they've also maybe that started in elementary or middle school for them, and it's been this constant situation where they want to, they feel lost. And so when you put a CIS on a school campus and you put one of our site coordinators on a school campus, that's where the magic happens. There's tremendous educators and tremendous administrators across Nevada that show up every day for our kids. We know there's not enough of them, and our teachers shouldn't have to worry about providing basic needs for kids, providing the school supplies for kids. If they show up and have trauma that's going on at home, that's not what our educators should be focused on. They need to teach our kids to learn and read and write and all the incredible things. And so when you put a CIS on a school campus, we focus on their basic needs. So they're full-time people working inside our elementary schools, our middle schools, and our high schools, and they remove whatever barrier, it's standing in the way for them to being successful. So in every single school that we're in, we first and foremost, for a tier 1 level, which has access to the entire school, we have a resource room. That resource room is filled with shoes and socks and backpacks and school supplies and coats and hats and gloves, laundry detergent. Some of our resource rooms have washers and dryers in them because if access to a laundromat or a cleaning service is going to be a barrier, because if you don't want to send your child to school in dirty clothes because maybe they get bullied, but you haven't had access to go to the laundromat, either transportation or money for the laundry detergent, that can't be a barrier for our kiddos coming to school. So we analyze our entire school neighborhoods and look at what needs they have. And then we also bring 120 community partners into the schools to help relieve that, right? So we might bring in like a Serving Our Kids or a 3 Square. We might bring in like a Future Smiles to help with dental exams and work. We might bring in I Care for Kids for eyeglasses. We bring in all different kind of community partners to help us remove whatever barrier that is. We do that in elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. And right now we're doing that in 118 schools across Nevada, 82 here in Clark County, 20 in Washoe County, 6 in Humboldt County, and 10 in Elko County.
It's awesome work and much needed, because one of the things I enjoy the most is doing the Principal for the Day program at CCSD. And I've done elementary, middle, and high school, and I've seen those needs that you talk about. And so that's one of the reasons why we'd love to partner with you as well. One of the ways we partner together, Workforce Connections and Communities in Schools, is this fellowship program that we've had with CCSD, where we're, again, immersing their counselors into our system so they are aware of all the resources that exist in the ecosystem. But this last cohort, CIS site coordinators, counselors joined us. What perceived value have you seen in that and the participation that CIS had in this program?
Yeah, there's so much value. And here's where it has a direct impact. Our psych coordinators case manage one-on-one about 50 students. So they're working with students individually, setting goals for them. They're working with them right now, as one might imagine. Everyone's heard the headlines. We're working with most of our kids on getting them back into school, right? So chronic absenteeism is a big issue. So we're working with them on what are the barriers that are getting you back into school. And then we also work with them on academic goals or behavior goals as well. Where this partnership is coming in is we're putting our psych coordinators into your program, which now is expanding their network of support, where now they can go and say the reason why this sixth grader isn't coming to school is because maybe their family lost their job or they need access to childcare, and this sixth grader has to stay home 2 days a week. And you work with the younger kids, you're giving us access to all the resources that you have, so that we're putting our psych coordinators in this program, and then they are now bringing that back directly into their school buildings and removing those barriers, because now they have that additional training, which is just so valuable. And the other way that has been really engaging is people talk about how nonprofits need to work together more. Right? Like we hear that a lot. I've been a nonprofit now almost 8 years. I agree with it because quite frankly, I can't do my work alone. So we have to work with everybody. But you've put us in a room, to your point, with your workforce connections, team members, and all the professional development and the network you're giving us, CCSD, and another incredible organization, JAG for Nevada, right? And they're in a lot of the high schools that we're in. So now we're all learning what everybody's doing. And then we have the ability to then take that back into our school campus and work together more closely and not duplicate services, because the last thing anybody needs to do is duplicate services, but really identify who's doing what best and how we can partner together. So for example, now we do college field trips with JAG for Nevada, and we can split the bus cost, and they can bring some of their kids and we can bring some of our kids, and then we're bringing them on field trips together. Again, just a way for us to partner more together. So there's incredible ways that we've worked together, and I could go on and on and on.
No, that's good, and we appreciate you being a part of this initiative, because we believe in that as well. Nobody can do it alone. We do it better together, and so we appreciate that. If you were to look, Tami, again, like you said, right now there's so many headlines. It's dizzying of things happening everywhere at the national level in many industries, education being one of them. But if you were to look at the next 5 years, what do you see as opportunities for communities and schools, given the changing landscape in education?
Yeah, I mean, you'll often hear me say that we should put a communities and schools psych coordinator in every high need or Title I school. There are about 400 Title I schools served across Nevada, not eligible, but just served right now, and we're in 118. So we're in about 1 in 4. So that is the opportunity, is to make sure that every single student and their family has access to the basic needs support and that one-on-one mentorship that we provide. We've grown a lot over the last few years, and when we've done that strategically. So we've also grown in feeder patterns. So I want to make sure that we wrap our kids through their K through their 12 support system, all the way through their education journey. So when I've added schools over the last 4 or 5 years, I've only done it in feeder patterns. So I'll use the Clark High School one, right? Because I went to Clark. It's my favorite one. So we've been in Red Rock Elementary, we've been in Roundy Elementary, and in Elaine Wynn Elementary for many, many years. We've been in Clark High School for many, many years doing incredible work. Arguably, one of the toughest times for a kiddo is when they transition into middle school. And up until 3 years ago, we weren't in Cashman Middle School. So we went to the school district and said, here's our goals, here's what we want to be able to do. And then we went to Cashman and said, they didn't know anything about our program, because I can't market it to everyone, because I have to be able to sustain the growth. And then shared that with them, and now it's a no-brainer. So now we're wrapping those kids all the way through, and then when I'm case managing families. So if I have siblings in elementary school and in middle and high school, think about the work that now 3 site coordinators can do with that family to help remove whatever barrier that is, right? And so I just think that work's really incredible. And that, I think, is part of the reason why we've seen success in our graduation rate. I can talk about a lot of statistics. Graduation rate is just one of them, but 97% of our high school case-managed seniors walked across the finish line last year. And many of those, the majority of those students, were not on track to graduate when we started case managing, and then we started working with them, because these were kiddos that were falling through the cracks. These were kiddos that people maybe didn't see and they didn't hear, and they maybe had gotten left behind. And there is literally magic in every single student, but there isn't always an opportunity. And that's what CIS brings to the table. The other thing I just want to mention quickly, because it is really exciting, and you've probably seen some of the headlines, and I think this is an opportunity where we can partner more efficiently. You know, I work in school buildings right now, so I'm kind of limited by the fact that I work in a school building. But for the first time ever in the history of the country, we will have a Shaquille O'Neal youth complex, which is going to be a boys and girls club. And it's over on the east side of Las Vegas at like Lamb and Cow. And it will have a Communities and Schools Alumni Center.
Wow.
And so one of the things that we are also starting to do is support our students 18 to 24. Nobody knows more than you how important it is to support our students 18 to 24. Just because we graduate them does not mean their barriers have magically disappeared. So we are going to be working to support those students. And I think there's a lot of, already we work with you with our graduating students getting enrolled in some of your programs. But just think about now, I'll have a physical space where I can host some things. We can talk about, you know, career pathways and workshops and all sorts of things that I can do after hours on the weekends. We're going to have a social worker in that building. So there's really some incredible things that we're doing in partnership with the Shaquille O'Neal Foundation. And that is coming on. We'll be doing a groundbreaking later this year. So we're really excited about that partnership with, of course, you know, Clark County government and so many other partners for sure.
I'm glad you said that, Tami, because our mutual friend, Lisa Morris-Hibbler, has been talking about that. And yes, I know that you and your team are also attending our quarterly Opportunity Youth Initiative meetings. So I think it's in the works. I'm excited too. That is a great opportunity, a great way to showcase the great work that CIS does. But as you said, the work doesn't end at 18. That's just a number, it's an age, but the barriers remain. And so, yes, you have my commitment. We need to utilize this particular opportunity and any others to increase our collaboration. And of course, one of our limitations is always funding, right? We have so much funding to hire so many staff and help so many kids. And so I think part of this Opportunity Youth Initiative that you and your team are part of is we are now getting help with that, because, you know, we receive federal funding via a formula that increases with population growth and whatnot. But over the last year, we've received over $500,000 now from the Walter S. Johnson Foundation and Jobs First NYC to be able to further this work. So you definitely have our commitment that we're going to continue to work with CIS on making sure that we can serve more youth. Yeah, well, we're really looking forward to it. I think there's a lot of ways that we can continue to expand and work together. So if you were to put this, these last years that you've been here in communities and schools in multiple roles now, the Chief Executive Officer, what would be one lesson that you would want, that you've learned through being in the work that perhaps the audience doesn't, and that you would like to share with them? There's something you probably don't know, but that I've learned being in this work. There's how much time do we have? I have so many things that I have learned from being in this work. I think the biggest thing that I learned, I was really scared to make a transition from event planning into nonprofit. Especially, people think of communities and schools as an education organization because we work inside schools. So obviously we work with a lot of incredibly smart people, but really we're a social service organization that is working on a school campus. But there were a lot of incredible people, and still are, that have all these really fancy titles. And I, at the end of the day, ran an event company. And I didn't really realize and understand the value that I truly brought to the organization. But here's what I did do, and I think this is just something for all of us to learn, is sometimes you just say yes. And you say yes. And you surround yourself with great people. You see where maybe your
deficiencies are as a leader. You know what you're really good at. These are some areas I might need. And you surround yourself with a really incredible team, and you listen to them, and you make solid decisions as a group, and that'll help you move forward. So I think, sometimes, when you're thinking about either a career change or taking that next big job is, maybe people don't think they're ready for it. You probably know more than you think you do, which I definitely learned. And as long as you're open and honest about what possibilities there are and what you can learn from other people, I think success is inevitable.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I think that's a great lesson. So far, we've been talking about your professional life. We started with your personal life. We'd like to return that a little bit. I'd like the folks to know a little bit about your life outside of work. You work a lot, as you just explained, but when you're not working or volunteering or doing other things in our community, what do you and your family love to do? What brings you enjoyment when you're not working?
Yeah, well, thank you. I always love to talk about my beautiful family. So I am married to a retired Clark County firefighter. And we have two beautiful daughters, which have been my bonus daughters for many, many years. Ben and I have been together for 24 years. Wow. My one daughter lives in Reno with her husband. My other daughter lives here in Las Vegas. And I have I have two dogs because, we are empty nesters, so we had to fill the nest. Yeah. So I have two Labrador retrievers. But what really brings me a lot of joy is I love hiking and getting outside in Southern Nevada. So you will usually find me on the weekends in Red Rock Canyon or in Mountain Springs or out in Blue Diamond. Or if I am traveling, because I do travel across Nevada quite often, visiting our schools and our other areas, you'll find me maybe in the Ruby Mountains and just in different areas. So hiking and being outside is a huge passion of mine and my husband's. We both really, really enjoy that and getting outside.
That's very cool because when we had Dale Arquiaga, he talked about the same thing, how he loves the outdoors and goes out with his dog and to creeks and rivers and things. So that's a common interest. Must be a CIS thing.
Well, maybe it's a CIS thing. But, Nevada's such a beautiful state. And we're really blessed with the incredible weather we have and the diversity, right? Like you can be up in the north and you can play in the snow and you can do all of that. And then you can get in the car and drive a few short hours and, be in 72-degree sunshine. So there's so much to explore in this great state.
And so much in between, like Valley of Fire and, all these beautiful places in Lincoln County. And one of the things that, I always think about, Tami, is, my 18-year-old self, because today we have acquired wisdom through the years. And I always think if I could take the wisdom I have today and the experience I have today when I was 18, how much more would I do, right? How much further would I go? How much more productive would I be? But then I remember when you're 18, you really don't listen to anybody. And so I probably would have said, hey, old man, I know better than you, just go away. But if you could give advice to an 18-year-old young woman or man who looks at you and says, I see myself in her path, and one day, I would like to be the leader of a nonprofit that, like Communities in Schools, that impacts so many other kids, what advice would you give them?
I did not realize when I was 18 how important my network would be. And we know in Nevada, right? I mean, those of us who have been here for a long time, right now, 3 million people. I joke all the time we're a big city of 3 million people run by 400 people and their friends. So there is an incredible network. And I didn't realize how important that network would be and how many opportunities and second chances I would be given. I mean, I would not be sitting here today if it weren't for my network, if it weren't for the relationship that we have had, the board member that picked up the phone and said hi, that I met through Nevada Women's Philanthropy years before that. Even the job I got at Destinations by Design was somebody called somebody and somebody referred me. And the amount of doors that are opened in your network is so important. And I've realized that even more now that I work at Communities in Schools. And I said it earlier, but I want to underscore the fact that there is brilliance in every single student. And they just need an opportunity. And they just need a door opened for them. And that is what we try to do. That is what Workforce Connections tries to do. That's what all of our nonprofits try to do. And so, if you're out there and you're looking at, how to support organizations, being a speaker at a mentor matchup event, or going to be principal for the day, or, just volunteering your time with young people is truly one of the most important things that you can do.
Awesome. That's great advice. Build a network. It's going to serve you.
Build a network. It's going to serve you. I promise you that.
That's good. So, Tami, as we reach the end of our podcast, we love to throw the mic back to you to be able to share any events coming up, whether they're related to CIS or any of the other organizations that you volunteer with or are involved with. We would put the information also on the screen if you have some to share with our audience. Are there any great things coming up? Any big parties you're throwing?
Yes. My favorite event is called Power Within. And it's an event that we hold here in Southern Nevada. And we give an award to a CIS elementary student, a CIS middle school student, and a CIS Communities and Schools. For those who are not familiar with the acronym, a Communities and Schools High School Student of the Year. A student that has made tremendous progress against sometimes really awful headwinds, and have made progress on either their behavior goal, their attendance goal, or their coursework goal. And we bring them and their families to dress up, and they get these really incredible awards. And that is one of my favorite events. We also give an award to a few different community partners. And then we name a Communities and Schools Site Coordinator of the Year that is voted on by their peers. Yeah. In Southern Nevada, we have over 100 site coordinators alone, because in every single school, there's a full-time site coordinator. In many of our high schools, we have 2, 3, or 4. So there's over 100 site coordinators, and they vote on by their peers. So it's on April 25th.
April 25th.
At 8 in the morning. It's at Red Rock Resort. Tickets are nominal. They're $50, and we'd love for people to come join us and celebrate the incredible grit and resilience of our students.
So if people want to follow up and find more information about it, do they go to your website?
They do, cisnevada.org. You can Power Within, you can volunteer, you can come learn more about CIS and tour a resource room. You can volunteer to be a mentor at Mentor Matchup, which will be happening in just a few weeks. There's lots of different ways that you can give back and just really support our kids.
And then for those of the audience listening, one more time, the website is?
cisnevada.org.
Awesome. Well, Tami, I want to thank you for being here in person. I know that it's always great to see you. We run into each other a lot in events, meetings, but this was a great pleasure to sit down with you and talk on the podcast.
I'm so excited that you had me. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Tami. Well, that's it for another episode of the WC Podcast. We hope to see you at a future one. Until then, stay safe. Well, Tami, thank you for staying over for our bonus segment called Against the Wall. Are you ready?
I'm a little nervous, Jaime, but
I'm against the
wall. Let's do it.
You're going to do great. The first section is called Your Favorites. I'm going to give you a category, and you're going to give me your favorite thing in that category. So let's start with an easy one. What's your favorite food?
My favorite food is a really good cheeseburger alongside a glass of red wine.
Well, you got my second question, because I was going to ask, what's your favorite beverage with dinner? It's red wine.
It is red wine, yeah.
Awesome. What's the favorite car you've ever owned?
My favorite car is I got a hand-me-down orange Pinto.
Start your
when I was in
engines.
high school. And it was not a hatchback. It was like a station wagon one. And we called it the Great Pumpkin.
Awesome. You'll have to show me a picture sometime. What's your favorite musical group or artist?
I have a lot, but right now I'm really into Brandy Carlisle.
What's your favorite movie?
The Notebook.
Your favorite book?
Oh, that's Jaime. That's a hard one. Reading is my favorite thing to do. I can't name.
You can give me a couple.
Book.
2, 3 are fine.
I don't know. I can't think of one.
How about The Notebook?
I didn't read it as a book. I
You just saw it as a movie. All right.
Right now, I'm reading a book called Silver Sparrow by Tahari Jones, and it's really, really good. So that's the one I'm going to say today.
Highly recommended. Very good. What is your favorite college sports team?
Well, UNLV. I mean,
Absolutely.
come on. Go Rebs.
You saw the best basketball team play.
I
the
did.
Boston Mac. Yeah.
I did.
What's your favorite professional sports team?
Well, I mean, the Las Vegas Raiders, of course.
Wow.
And the Las Vegas Aces.
Twice world champions.
I
yes.
mean, you got to give it up for our girls.
Absolutely.
For sure.
And then you can throw in the Vegas Knights. And we have tons of teams
Yeah,
now, huh?
we can. I
Yeah.
mean, I love the Knights as well, but, go
Sure.
Raiders, go Aces
Awesome.
are my top two.
Well, you made it through the first section called Your Favorites. Now the next one's called Tough Choices.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you two choices. Hopefully you can pick one. Let's start with an easy one. Vacation or staycation?
Vacation.
When you go to your vacation, would you rather drive there or fly there?
Well, it depends on the trip, but I'd want to drive so I can take my dogs.
Nice. And once you get there, stay at a hotel or an Airbnb?
Airbnb.
When you retire one day, will it be here in the city or out in the ranch somewhere?
Nevada will always be home, so we'll always be here.
And if you could have a day all to yourself, would you rather spend it by the ocean or hiking in the mountains?
Hiking in the mountains.
Yeah, we found out about that earlier. And if you could have a superpower, would it be the ability to fly or breathe underwater?
Fly.
The ability to speak with animals or speak any foreign language?
Oh, man, there's a tough one. Any foreign language. I mean, think about the power of that. If you can speak any, I mean, people who speak more than one language, I am always in awe of.
I thought about you talking to your dogs, being able to,
Yeah, I would like that too. But I think I could do more good if I could speak any foreign language.
True. Here comes the hard ones. You ready? Actions or words?
Oh, actions all day.
Justice or grace? I told you it got tougher.
That's a hard one.
Yes.
Grace.
Awesome. Well, you made it through tough choices.
Okay.
Flying colors. The last segment is called Finish the Sentence. So I'm going to give you about 90% of a sentence. You're going to finish it for me. If Tami could visit any place in the world, it would be
Italy.
The best part about living here in Southern Nevada is
The people.
Tami's favorite thing about her job with communities and schools is
Purpose.
if Tami could travel back in time, she would travel to
I don't know. I never thought about that question.
I thought you were going to say the orange pumpkin pinto.
No, I mean, it was a good time, but that's behind you. UNLV national championship for the Reds.
Yes, a good one.
Should have paid attention to that more. I think I took that way for granted.
3 words that describe Tami are
action-oriented, trustworthy, determined.
Couldn't agree more. And doing the WC podcast here with us today was
the best.
Well, thank you, Tami, for doing the podcast with us.
Thank you for having me.